Welcome to Monarchist Minute. I'm your host, William Stout, here with Georges P., our ideology coach here, and Tobit von Lud from United Monarchist Party of America. Leon was up here on the panel, but he popped down.
Hello.
Greetings.
Greetings. And we're here on this wonderful weekend to honor those who have fallen in the service of our country or in other countries, because it is Memorial Day weekend.
I'm gonna be honest, I feel kind of shitty because I forgot it was Memorial Day weekend.
How dare you?
I don't know, I think of Veterans Day more than Memorial Day.
Well, that is true. I mean, America is weird that we actually do separate the two for those who died and those who survived. I forget
Yeah.
what is that? I forget the whole story and the legal precedent on why we have a separate day from Memorial Day and Veterans Day.
I don't know either. I know like Memorial Day was like Civil War, right?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with that. It had to do with an earlier war, and then World War One happened.
Yeah, like Veterans Day is like Armistice Day, and it's also like in Veteran Month, I think, right? Then there's Armed Forces Day.
Yeah, it's like someone else is coming up on stage. Or
Hello, Constantine.
hello, Constantine. Gonna introduce yourself, man?
It is good to be back, lads.
I was already said it. Like you had yourself muted. It's like we said hello, or you just gonna sit there.
I just wanted to make sure, you know.
Oh, okay, fair enough. But yeah, I don't know what you're on, but if you can, keep it push to talk.
Yeah, I know. That's why I was muted.
All right.
You need to turn off your mic when you're munching down on your cornbread.
Oh, I already finished that.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Oh, damn.
Yeah. Down all the cornbread already.
You're gonna get pellagra.
Did you at least
That is
put
my
butter
one
on
meal
it?
of the day, swear to God.
You are definitely gonna get pellagra.
What
pellagra?
do you mean?
It was basically like a disease that affected most of the South. It wasn't actually a disease. It was just a vitamin deficiency because they would live off of cornbread and like peanut soup, which is not enough to live off of and sustain a man.
So
that is very much enough to live off of.
It's a bit like scurvy, yeah. It took them forever to prove it because people thought, no, it must be just like, a disease because germ theory was the new thing. So a bunch of people would just die due to malnutrition of pellagra.
Mm.
And then they...
I had no idea.
Wait, you were saying Tobit?
I was going to say, and then they disproved it being a germ by literally swallowing patients' excrement. But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, no, the germ parties and dirty parties were kind of awesome, though, to just, like, really prove it's not a disease in the same way.
That reminds me of the whole story behind, what is it, Crohn's disease, or was the disease where you can't eat gluten, where it ended up taking a famine to prove it?
Celiac?
Yeah, celiac disease.
Yeah, no, celiac.
I knew it began with a C and it had to do with the digestive system. I just couldn't remember what.
Hey, I don't mean to be the guy who ruins the fun, but I remember you saying something about not getting too wild and staying on topic.
Yeah, that's already going nowhere.
One thing to keep in mind is that also, like, a lot of soldiers did die of these sort of conditions. Like, pellagra was something that affected a lot of the troops during the Civil War.
So my cornbread is not relevant. Okay, I see.
Yeah, we can always tie it back. Because, like, have y'all ever eaten an MRE when, like, I don't know how many of y'all are from military families or were served.
I mean,
I haven't, but I've heard they sucked.
I mean, I have relatives in the military, but I've never eaten an actual military grade MRE, but I've eaten plenty of trail food, and I understand it's somewhat a similar premise.
I think it's worse because, like, when I was a kid, I was really excited to try MREs, and my dad would always repeat to me how trash they were. And then one day he decided, okay, here, little George, have this MRE. And I could not finish it because it was just that disgusting. Like, below public school cafeteria food and flavorlessness.
Oh. I've still been told it's better than what they usually serve in the messes, though.
I think that depends on who you end up getting, or if it's an officer's mess or enlisted. Like, who's eating.
That makes sense. But no, I've never had any military grade food. I do have some old military equipment sitting that's been passed down my family. Like I have one of my family heirlooms on my father's side is a military grade machete from the Second World War.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, my grandpa served in the Pacific, and we have his Navy bag, his locker bag, and we have that machete, and those are the two things we have of him.
My great grandpa, he also was World War II. He was North Africa, went up through Italy, Alps, and then ultimately ended up fighting in the Battle of the Bulge. We still have his Garand in his uniform.
Oh, damn.
Super cool.
I'm a little jealous now because I so want a Garand. It's not even funny.
Yeah, I'm hoping one day my grandpa will let me shoot it at a range or something.
Does it just take normal 30-06? Like you could just get 30-06 anywhere and they'll run it, or does it take like specialized ammunition?
I think it
Probably.
just runs normal, right?
Genuine World War II is what my grandpa or great grandpa used in battle, so I'd assume 30-06.
Well, I just didn't know because I didn't know if ammunition and such changed that much since World War II.
Probably not.
Oh yeah, for
Like, I think it takes a special kind of bullet for like a World War II gun to blow up because it's like the wrong version of it. Like, I know Carcanos are fickle.
Well, yeah, for starters, didn't we switch over from whatever, like we use like standard issue 7.52 by whatever for NATO rounds, don't we?
Yeah, but like, we still make 30-06 because it's a popular round for hunting rifles. So it'd still be...
Yeah, I gotcha.
Don't get me started on the whole we're leaving 762 or whatever the number is. I think it's 762, isn't it 762?
I think it's like 5.56 predominantly, right?
Well, 5.56 for the M16s and the M4s, but what's the heavier round? Isn't it the 762?
Yeah, it is because we started adopting 7.62 in reaction to the AK-74 in Vietnam.
Right, so it's just like, don't get me started on the whole the U.S. wants to change all the guns and issue an entirely new bullet when 7.62 is perfectly fine.
Yeah, but that's how we scam Europe.
It works. True.
Oh, they all have to go up to NATO standard. Who sets the standard? The United States. Now you got to buy our new like stupid ammunition.
I know, but this is as much as I love the fact that the U.S. has like a 2 or 3 generational tech advantage on everyone else in the world. One of the biggest things that annoys me about U.S. military spending and our bloated budget is just how much money we dump into like endlessly open-ended military R&D programs that last decades and don't actually yield any reasonable results.
I remember my dad complaining about that like way back. I think it was around 2011, where he just like mentioned offhandedly to me spending like $30 on a single test bullet that was still just 7.62 or whatever. It was just like a normal ass bullet.
Or like the thing where they discovered they contracted $5,000 per bolt, and they discovered they could buy the bolts for $5 from a hardware store.
We'd probably get a lot more for our money if we had just let the engineers use cocaine.
Right?
It's true.
But it's just like, that is my biggest issue with the military, isn't how much money we necessarily spend on it, but our procurement and how we make decisions on how we spend the money is so stupid.
No, it's because of contractors.
Yeah, no, it's solely because of the contractors.
I hate the military-industrial complex. Okay.
Speak for yourself, dog. The military-industrial complex is awesome.
Okay, time for me to get on my, what's the word I'm looking for? My soapbox, my corporatist soapbox, but certain elements of the military-industrial complex should be completely nationalized.
This is true, but also like they're essentially nationalized because they've been so ingrained through contracts. Like HII is probably going to remain private for eternity.
I know, I'm just saying we need to nationalize them more so we can have a bit better price control.
Yeah. What I want out of the military-industrial complex is us to make the M8 AGS. I thought that tank was a good idea, even though like the Sheridan was flawed.
I've never heard of this
That
tank.
part?
It's the airborne tank. Like, okay, like I fell in love when I was a kid, like with the Sheridan when playing War Game Red Dragon with my dad. And I remember him telling me stories about the Sheridan because it's the one that they would drop out of like C-130s. And sometimes they would land like turret side down, which was not a good day for anyone. But these tanks were
No.
made out of aluminum and they were just light enough to be dropped and used as infantry support. I know we dropped some during Operation Just Cause in Panama.
Interesting. But
You know what I want out of the military-industrial complex?
What?
Mech suits.
We'll get there
Okay,
one day.
Okay, mech suits would be awesome, actually.
And
I want to see some Call of Duty Advanced Warfare type stuff going on.
Where's Jay on it so he can go on about why we need to build an actual practical functioning Gundam?
No. Spartan program.
yeah,
Spartan program.
Okay, that's just eugenics, though.
Hold on.
No.
There's another thing.
No.
There's another thing.
Oh, I mean, yeah, I guess it is eugenics.
But no. There's another program that they need to revive that they killed. Hoverboards. They had hovercraft in the 40s.
Oh, okay. I've seen these things in person. Like, there's a museum near me. It's the Military Transportation Museum, and they show off all the really stupid prototypes, and they're just awesome. They had a hover car in the outside gallery, and on the inside, it was this individual one, like Staps from Star Wars, basically just that for like soldiers in Vietnam, and also jetpacks for individual soldier usages. They were just doing anything.
You know something I think we need to give the military-industrial complex back? NASA needs to return to being a department of the Air Force. Now, a while back, I wrote a Substack article on this, but I'm going to get on my soapbox and say it. But space exploration was a lot more productive when it was a part of the military-industrial complex. Instead of us letting it be ran by all these global cooperation, we should all work together in the name of scientists.
I love patriotism. I love patriotism.
I will ask. Did you say give NASA back to the Air Force?
Yes.
Why not give it to the Space Force instead? Wouldn't that make more sense?
The Space Force shouldn't exist, and it should be a department of the Air Force, and the Air Force should go back to being underneath the Army and the Navy.
Exactly.
You're wrong. You're wrong.
No, you're wrong.
Dissolve the Air Force. Down with the Chair Force, up with the Army and Navy.
U.S. Army Air Force will rise again.
I believe. And also the U.S. Navy Air Force. This is biased because my grandfather was there, my paternal grandfather.
You know what's fascinating is I was talking to my brother about this the other day, and I was like, dude, do you know we have the world, like, out of the 10 largest air forces in the world, we have 4 of them?
Because the Army has
going
their
based
own
off branches.
I mean, it's absurd. We have the Air Force, but then the Army has its own Air Force, and the Navy has its own Air Force. And the Marines, for some godforsaken reason, has its own Air Force, even though the Marines are technically a department of the Navy that already has its own Air Force.
And you know what the scariest... That's not even the scariest part of, having the military-industrial complex. The craziest part is we can deploy a Burger King anywhere on the planet in 24 hours. That's horrifying.
I mean, why Burger King? If we're going to deploy fast food, deploy something better. Let's put a Wendy's on the ground.
Okay, don't diss Burger King, because all my childhood core memories are on base biking to the Burger King to get, like, a Whopper after going to the...
I say Burger King because we actually had a Burger King deployed in Afghanistan.
Well, no, we have a Burger King at almost every base. It's like one of the, like, it's Sparrow's, Burger King, a Taco Bell, oftentimes in, like, the PX. Like,
no, I mean we had a literal, like, trailer Burger King deployed in one of the FOBs in Afghanistan. Like, that is a real thing we did.
That's awesome.
That's the terrifying part, is we can deploy a Burger King like fully functional, staff Burger King anywhere on the planet in 24 hours, and that should scare you.
You know, it
Uh,
makes me wonder why we don't have Waffle Houses at all of our bases.
They haven't made a deal with the military yet.
Okay. If you put a Waffle House on there's you know what Waffle Houses are known for? Not for their food. They're known for the fights that happen in the parking lot at like 2 a.m. If you want a direct rise in violence, you will put a Waffle House on every base.
Do you not want your warriors to fight? Put them on the waffle.
Preferably not each other. No.
Yeah, not at the base. They're already like tweaked out on rippets. Like I don't want to add more to that problem.
They're already tweaked out on rippets and MREs, dude. Like if they just got back from the base, they're gonna be tweaking in the Waffle House.
They're being handed your like salty eggs and potatoes from the Waffle House. Like I would just have a mental breakdown at that point if I spent 18 hours driving around a truck.
I would legitimately crash out. Like actually, like I would go crazy.
Like having tried MREs, Waffle House food is below MREs in quality.
No, true. It's like going to Waffle House, much like Denny's, is only good when you have a hangover or when you are blacked out drunk at 2 a.m.
Or stoned.
Hi, everyone in my family.
Any food is good when you're stoned.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah, we go there often after poker night.
That's okay. In high school, I was in the band. Okay, and in high school, the trumpet section always. Before homecoming, I had a tradition of going to an IHOP at 2 a.m.
Oh God! But
and my buddy was complaining to me about it the other day. I'm like, dude, that sounds awesome.
Y'all were talking about soldiers being hopped up on like stimulants and everything and crashing out, and that made me think to myself. I said, "Man, I need to sit down and watch Generation Kill again, just to listen to them talk about ripped fuel."
Dude, yeah, no. I need to watch Generation Kill.
Okay, so apparently what I've deduced by watching this is ripped fuel was basically these chocolate flavored concentrated caffeine supplements or something. Like it was like those chocolate flavored coffee beans but with like the strength of Monster.
Monster isn't even that strong, dog. I drink one, maybe two of them on the daily, and it doesn't even affect me anymore.
I'm just saying, like, they were popping handfuls of these, like, pills, and it was like...
Okay, if you're popping, like, 6, 7, 8, 9, like, yeah, no, that's going to affect you significantly. Yeah, no, and, you know, speaking of chocolate-flavored stimulants, I think my people tried that one time.
I'm just thinking about the Rip It videos that I used to watch on YouTube, because if you look up Rip It before 2010, you just see a whole bunch of videos straight out of Iraq and Afghanistan of soldiers chugging Rip Its.
Hell yeah.
The golden age of energy drinks truly has passed us.
Well, yeah, no, now we got all this crap, like Bangs. I like Celsius, yeah, no, it's good for you, sure, but I hate the taste of it. I am a Monster Energy guy.
No, you should get into Rip Its, because Rip Its are like $1 per, and you can get them in bulk. Like, a buddy of mine got a whole crate of them, and he just sat on them for about a month, because he'd only go through like 1-2 energy drinks a day.
You can't even get 4 Locos anymore.
It's made by the... No, buddy, no. My brother has a half-drank 4 Loco in the fridge still from, like, God knows how long ago.
I thought they were banned.
No, I think they had to, like, lower the caffeine content or something.
Yeah, it couldn't be an energy drink and an alcoholic drink at the same time.
Yeah, no, because it's like a portable... That's literally a portable... That's a portable Jaeger bomb, dude. Like, speaking of...
Jaeger!
To quote Fluffy, avoid any alcohol that makes you say its name.
I've never had a Jaeger bomb before. I just drink Jägermeister like how old German
Jaeger
ladies...
and Red Bull. It's Jaeger and Red Bull. Imagine that. If you've had a Red Bull and you've had Jägermeister, imagine the combined taste in your mouth.
That sounds... I don't like that. I want those as separate things.
No, they are horrifying. They taste awful, frankly. But they do work.
Jägermeister's a before bedtime treat.
You know, as a little treat. Yeah, no, like a sweet treat. I got you.
It helps you digest.
I avoid Jaeger like the plague because I think I've explained this before, but my father is a very, very heavy drinker. Like, this man can drink, like, I've seen him drink a whole quart of moonshine and still be coherent enough to mop the floor because he accidentally spilled his drink
Oh
before he
my
went
gosh,
to bed.
that
Dude's
is
a tank.
horrifying. Bro is
Now,
built like a
let me finish the story.
T-44.
Let me finish the story. And it was the only time I've ever seen him get blackout drunk was when he had a Jaeger bomb.
Oh yeah.
So I avoid Jaeger like the plague because I
Understood.
explicitly know that if my old man can't handle it, I sure can't.
I was at work today, and I was talking to one of the security guards I work with. I work in the cafeteria in a hospital, and it's like I was talking to one of the security guards because my 21st birthday is coming up, and he's like, "Oh, you turned 21, you got to do peanut butter, whiskey, and Verner's." I'm like, "Dude, I'm gonna be real. That sounds disgusting. Verner's is a ginger ale, and peanut butter flavored whiskey." He's like, "Yeah, no, it sounds bad on paper, but it's good." I'm like, "Okay."
Oh,
I can't
actually, I
tell
can
if
see
you're
that
just
work.
messing with it. I mean, I can see it, but at the same time, ugh.
I remember the first time I tried to make my own mixed drink, I ended up trying to make a rum and coke, and it ended up being half rum, half coke, and tasting like cough syrup.
Oh.
My brother one time made me a cranberry vodka, and yeah, no, that stuff that cup was like 80% vodka, dude. It was not work. Like I took one sip and was like, no.
I managed to finish it off because I wasn't going to waste the rum, but I'm still surprised I managed to get myself back up to my hotel room tonight.
Impressive, very nice.
It was not fun.
Okay, now y'all are just making me think about how cheap the alcohol is on base.
Is it
Like,
people? Well, okay, go figure. I'm not surprised considering what y'all have to deal with.
well, like I never served. I'm just like a fucking military brat. But
Yeah, I figured by the way you spoke, but still, I understand why alcohol is cheap on base.
Yeah, no, it's
Like as a concept.
I remember seeing a big ass bottle of it. I don't remember exactly the size, but it was bigger like than a normal handle, and it was only like $20. And this was like a year or two ago.
Oh,
Like
that's
this is
crazy.
after 2020, after COVID prices, and it was cheap as hell. They also like have it, I think, at the shopette as well on the way into
Nice.
base.
Yeah, no,
Like,
my buddy, I got a buddy that lives in Texas, and he came up about a month ago, and we decided to go to the store, and he's getting some whiskey, right? I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I'm not a big liquor guy. I'm more of a like beers on the weekends type dude. But like, I'm like, okay, whatever, you know. And he got like Tennessee. It was Jack. It was a bottle of Jack, and it was like honey Tennessee. It was like Tennessee honey whiskey or something. I don't remember the specifics, but all I know is I took one capful because I didn't have a shot glass on hand, and I didn't touch it. My brother drank the rest.
Hmm.
Not in one night because I would have definitely ended up seeing him at work a few days later because alcohol poisoning. But
But
I'm not a big fan of liquor, and that just reinforces it.
my uncle makes this concoction that he calls jungle juice, and it's 2 kinds of flavored vodka, 3 kinds of flavored rum, and then he just fill the rest in with V8 fruit punch.
Oh
It
yeah.
is
Oh
it
yeah.
is magical, but after the 3rd glass, it goes
You're
south.
screwed. Yeah, no.
Once you taste the bitter, it's already too late.
It's already too late. Yeah, no. Me and my brother were considering making jungle juice for my 21st. We were gonna get like some Hawaiian punch and just like, like we were just gonna do something crazy. I don't remember what we were planning. I gotta talk to him about
But
that.
yeah, George, while you were talking about cheap alcohol on base, that made me think of something. So, like, as much as I want to give every soldier in the U.S. a raise because I don't think they make nearly enough money, and I don't think they've gotten nearly enough raises to adjust for inflation, part of me is very scared of what the average enlisted might do with that extra money.
lots
Dude,
and lots of debts.
Hoarding Bapples. Easy answer. I
And
love Bapple.
hookers.
Yeah, no, hookers and blow. I'll have my own military base with blackjack and hookers.
It would just be gambling, car debt payments, and alcohol.
Oh no, they'd be getting Hellcats for days, dude.
Okay, honestly, they do deserve it, so we have a more whimsical society. Like,
You know, that is one of my favorite things. Despite how much war has changed, the psychology of soldiers has changed very, very little. Like, I remember someone posted something on Twitter, one of the base trad accounts. It was like, showed a, one of the, air traffic controllers at an Air Force base in a GIMP costume dancing while he was doing the air traffic controls. And he was, like, talking about all this degeneracy in the modern U.S. military. And I was like, my guy, they were having drag shows in World War One on the trench line just to break the monotony.
Like, let's be
This
real. The
is
dude in the GIMP
nothing
suit was
new.
probably just screwing around anyway, because, you know.
I mean,
Like, why not?
I'm just saying,
Just why not?
the fundamental truth of soldiers is that the psychology of the soldier, of who soldiers are as people, has not changed for the past 3,000 years.
It's quite fascinating. It is quite fascinating, yeah.
And,
that's like the most basic form of humanity is man that fights other man.
and it
Yeah.
probably has to do in part with the socioeconomic classes that soldiers are usually recruited from as well.
Well, yeah, because you recruit them from your poor, low-income neighborhoods. It's like, what are they gonna do? They're gonna do what they know.
At least we got better than, you know, how the British used to do it, where you just put a coin under some guy's beer and it's just like, oh yeah, you're screwed, buddy.
Wait, what's the story? What's the story and logic behind
Yeah,
that?
whoa, hold on. Point under the beer.
Yeah, but here they'd put a coin under like someone's glass when they were drinking at the pub or whatever, and that would be like they'd find the coin underneath it, and they would be taking the king's shilling, and that means you're signed up because recruiters would go to like pubs and bars throughout the this is like 1700s, 1800s practice. It's not like early modern practice, and that's how they would get people together for like military units that were used during the Napoleonic Wars.
So it was just a draft in the funniest way possible.
Basically, it was a draft that if you were stupid enough to pick up that coin or that shilling, you're in the military now.
Yeah, no. Moral of the story: don't pick pennies up off the ground. You might get drafted.
But I was gonna say something. I forget what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, it reminds me of an interesting revelation or an interesting epiphany I had, and I don't know if I should share it on the podcast, but I am anyway. So,
Fuck it, we ball.
Epiphany was
Yeah, no, we ball.
Yeah, joining the army, like becoming a basic enlisted in the army, historically speaking, is the male equivalent of saying, "The hell with it, I'm gonna be a stripper, I'm gonna become a prostitute." Like,
True.
Yeah.
True.
feels
Literally
like-
true. Literally
not-
true.
And I'm not saying this to be disparaging the soldiers. I love soldiers, I love our veterans, but I'm just saying it historically fills the same niche of I have no other prospect except
Yeah,
this.
no. Life sucks. It's the same process as women making like an OnlyFans. Like, dude, like, listen, I'm gonna use my body for something. Like, you know, right?
I will give my body over to the government.
No, I don't think women do that unless we're running state mandated brothels now.
No.
Yeah,
That would
I
help
didn't
out the
think so.
military. Stop the spread of
No.
VD.
That's what the Japanese did. No. We don't do that. This is America. We are not doing that.
Okay, I know we at the start of this episode I talked about being respectful and us being somber and everything, but the more I think about it, the more I realize, dang, an entire episode devoted to us talking about debauchery, alcohol, hookers, and everything would be absolutely perfect for a soldier.
Yeah,
Like
no,
this would
literally.
be the kind of content a soldier would enjoy.
Well, yeah, they live the best life, but they live
Leon-
the worst life at the same
Leon
time.
made a good point about how like Roman legions had the Huz following them everywhere.
Wait, Roman legions had what following them everywhere?
Like hordes
The
of
Huz.
prostitutes.
The Huz. They had the Huz following them, bro.
Like this conception still exists with the Barracks bunny. This archetype never died.
Wow, check about wow.
Like I said,
point.
The fundamental reality of being a soldier, the psychology of it has not changed for 3,000 years. As
It's also-
much as the senior officers and the senior enlisted have tried to. It has not changed.
You think they try to? Funny of you. The only time they try is when they want to dumb down the military a bit more, like McNamara.
Your NCOs are getting in on that stuff too. Your NCOs are getting in.
Okay, so maybe the officers, like the academy officers, the ones that never actually went through boot camp, try.
No,
you guys want to hear a story about like military dumb stuff? So my buddy's dad, he was in the Air Force. Okay, he was a mechanic. Okay, so one day he's on a base in South Korea. I want to say late '90s. So he's on a base, South Korea, working on some engines, working on some paperwork, and a freaking helicopter comes in and parks like right next to him, right? So he goes over, he starts yelling at the pilot of the helicopter, okay? Yelling, like messed up his engines, messed up his paperwork, stuff like that. They had him hogtied in less than 3 seconds, okay? Because turns out that helicopter was Secret Service. So you know how I said it's late 90s? Yeah, Bill Clinton was visiting that particular base in South Korea. So they had to move my buddy's dad to another base because he was deemed a risk to national security.
Okay.
Because he got mad about his...
Time for a military story that was told by one of my buddies who was a soldier in the early 2010s, and he was stationed in Israel. So he and his buddies...
No, this is going to be good.
So he has a bunch of stories coming out of Israel, and they're absolutely golden. But he and his buddies got leave one weekend, and they decided to cross the border into Egypt to go hang out in Egypt. So, well, hang on a second. They might have been stationed in the Sinai, and they decided to go drive along the coast, and I think they went into Cairo, or one of the major cities.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
They were going around, hanging out, looking for some place to get drinks, and this random Egyptian dude came up, and apparently one of his bodies looked Slavic, because he thought he was Russian. And thought he was with the Russian mob, so he then takes them to a mob bar in Egypt, and they go along with it.
Okay, I mean, might as well at that point.
And they drunk for free the entire night because everyone thought they were mobsters. And that went on for like 4 or 5 hours into the night until they finally figured out that they weren't mobsters. And at that point, they took off before anything could happen.
Wow.
Imagine being in Egypt in the early 2010s. Oh shit, my cat just knocked over a whole bunch of shit. That's whatever.
Oh. Yeah, no. Average cat.
They shrug. But like, that's like during the Arab Spring too. So like, no wonder they thought they were Russians.
Yeah, no wonder they thought the Russians were involved.
But yeah, that was one of his crazy stories. He also told me all these interesting stories about actually going to see like the bazaars and everything.
I imagine that would have been like super cool.
Yeah.
Like your friend's story was a Bert Kreischer story, but like good instead of lame.
Not real.
And he had some interesting comments and commentary about smoking hashish too.
Isn't hashish like a marijuana thing?
Yeah, it's marijuana when you press it down and you get extract like the oils from it. Like the same thing that's used in dab rigs is actually very similar to hashish. Same with dab pens.
I was gonna say it's like a dab rig. Is that what I'm gathering here?
Yeah, kind of like that.
What he explained it like, it was like a real mellow hemp cut with tobacco.
I think that may be how they serve it. That's how they
doesn't sound too bad.
Because I think they do sometimes use like the hemp like syrup that they get from squeezing it into tobacco into almost like a hookah shisha, but instead of it being sugar and honey, it's the weed goo.
You were saying you were going to say something, Tobit?
I had something in mind, but it completely flew out. So no.
Also, sorry for interrupting.
Talking over you, but yeah, he had other interesting stories, and he had. This dude is something else. I really like this dude. He's a cool guy. But man, he needs to get his head out of the clouds. And by clouds, I mean out of his pants sometimes.
No, I think you mean the weed clouds, sir.
Well, both.
The devil's lettuce clouds.
Yeah. The one down. Anyways,
But does
my
anyone have any stories about relatives that served, or?
yeah, actually, my grandpa, he was a Marine, Vietnam era, but the closest he ever got was the Gulf of Tonkin. But he was telling me how one time he was stationed in Okinawa, as one does in the 60s. But he was out there, and, back then, whenever the Japanese person liked an American soldier or serviceman, they would say GI number one. That information is going to come in handy in just a minute, but we'll get there. So my grandpa and 3 other Marines, they decide they want to go out fishing, so they go find a Japanese guy, and he takes them out fishing, and they go fishing for a while, and they finally catch something. And it turns out to be a shark. Now the Japanese guy, he does not want this thing on his boat, but my grandpa and his 3 buddies, being Marines, they bring it onto a boat. They bring it onto a boat, and it causes so much commotion. Eventually, they get it off the boat, and you know what the Japanese guy does?
What?
GI 10,000.
Yeah,
He said GI
I
10,000. This is basically saying you're lower than dog shit.
my grandpa was in
Damn.
the army, and he served during the Vietnam era, but he never actually went to Vietnam due to a Jeep accident while he was on base, shortly after he was in basic. But I don't ever ask him much about his time in the service because, by what I've been told, he doesn't have a lot of good memories coming out of that period.
Yeah.
So it's just, and this is just something that I've always held personal because of this. Like, I've always been kind of taboo about telling a veteran thank you for their service because it feels presumptuous to me. It's like, how should I assume that they enjoyed their service?
Well, I think the way I see it is when you're thanking someone, you are expressing your gratitude for either a hardship or something. You're not presuming that you're not presuming they had a good time. You are thanking them for an act of which they have rendered, that being, in this case, service.
Right, but you get what I'm saying, right?
I guess, yeah.
Like, I don't do it because, like, I remember my dad, like, someone did that to my dad, and he ended up turning around his hat that, like, had his military, it was, like, First Corps thing on it. He ended up flipping it around, even though he didn't like wearing his hats backwards, because he didn't want to be thanked again. He just found it to be awkward.
Yeah, I at where I work, we have a vets discount, so it's like I kind of gotta like ask some people. Like I see the hat, and I'm like, "Oh, were you a veteran?" And then I put a 20% discount on it.
Well, you see, that's
That's a bit different. Yeah, no, like, you're doing them a service compared to awkwardly going up and saying thank you for your service to anyone in uniform.
Yeah, no. Going out of the blue when you're not, like, just randomly is kind of whack, I'm not gonna lie. I understand why, but...
But, my uncle, I guess ex-uncle now, he and my aunt are divorced, but he was in Iraqi freedom. My cousin's currently a Marine.
I just remembered a story.
Oh, God.
Like, basically, my dad went on, like, a mission trip to Australia, and they were basically showing him the sights via helicopter, and he kept on basically going at them saying, "Hey, why don't you go a bit faster? Like, why are you guys going so slow?" And then, like, it's not that entertaining of a story, but he eventually, like, he lands, and then he gets onto another helicopter, and the Australians refer to him as, like, a wild guy for wanting them to keep going faster. Other one was him talking. He was with, like, I think the Spanish Foreign Legion. He was with some Spanish detachment, and he was trying to ask the name of, like, a helicopter in Spanish. He'd go, like, "Como se dice?" He'd, like, motion to the chair. Like, the guy would give him the name of the chair, and then he eventually, like, did all around. He said, "Oh, helicoptero."
Hey, William, I'm going to go ahead and drop out. I think Argan wants to come on.
All right.
I think we're near time, though, as well.
Enjoy the rest of your evening.
It is 1:45.
Yeah. So we should just share any stories we have and then wrap up, probably. But, I've probably shared the story more times than I can imagine, but I'm going to share it again. My great-grandpa on my father's side was, Pacific Theater, World War II, and he was on the Indianapolis fateful voyage.
Oh.
Yeah, so one of the 1 in 4 that managed to survive that incident. And that's where the stubbornness of my family tree comes from. But no remarks or
I don't know what to say.
oh.
Like, I can see that. Like I can see the genetic line.
What do you mean the genetic line?
I meant the stubbornness thing. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just one of those things. I remember watching a documentary on it and hearing about all the shenanigans that made that situation so much worse than what it was, and it made my blood boil. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no. The Indianapolis was an insane story.
And how the Navy basically forgot the ship was even not there or existed, and they found survivors on pure happenstance. Like it was a complete and total accident because the ship was marked as present. They thought it already arrived and simply forgot to check in. And the crazy part is they pinned it all on the captain. All on the captain. Even though the Japanese captain, the guy who ran the sub, later testified in the captain's favor that he did everything he could to prevent the ship from getting hit with torpedoes. But there is a silver lining, and there is a funny story to this very tragic tale, a funny end to this very tragic tale. So, my dad works for a tier 1 Honda supplier, a Japanese company that supplies parts for Honda.
Okay.
And one of his execs, one of the people he was very close to, originating from Japan, because my dad is middle management, upper assembly, upper factory floor management, was this dude by the name of Yoshi. Now, one day after work, they go, because his factory's in a little tiny town, smaller than even my town, village in the middle of Ohio. And there, of course, there's a little hole-in-the-wall bar right outside the plant. They stop at the bar, and they're chilling, hanging out, and, they're talking smack. And so eventually it gets brought up on happenstance and accident that Yoshi's grandfather was on the sub that sunk the U.S. Indianapolis. Nope. No comment.
I started giggling to myself because I'm just thinking like, wow, we really did like normalize relations with Japan after the war to that point.
But it's just, and like this happened in like the mid 2010s or something. I was still in high school when this happened. But it's just like, it was just the crazy cosmic happenstance of it.
If we lived in a more whimsical era, we would call that destiny.
Yes. And then it escalated into jokes about how Americans can't make cars. My dad, being the red-blooded American man he was, says, yes, but we have an excellent program for making bombs.
The Manhattan Project. Maybe you've heard of it.
I mean, yes, for those of you who also don't know, the U.S. Indianapolis helped carry some of the parts for the Manhattan Project on that specific voyage.
No, that's really cool, though.
So, yes, my family did contribute to the Manhattan Project, and in the end, my great-grandfather did, in fact, get the last laugh. Certainly, it wasn't worth the trauma and the sunburn, but he did, in fact, get the last laugh.
Well, I mean, could be worse.
It's just amazing how the cosmic wheels turn that 3 generations later, they met up in some hole-in-the-wall bar in some tiny Ohio village with less than 3,000 people in it. It's just amazing.
That is really cool.
Yeah, no, that is. I just was like taking that in.
And they were probably drinking cheap alcohol, just like they would be if it were on base. Okay, that joke didn't stick, dang it.
It did stick, but I keep doing like subtle laughs that don't come up on my mic.
Yeah, no, I'm on push to talk, so I can't like I forget to hit the space bar. I'm also DMing a friend just every single meme on my PC so I can save them to my phone.
We need to add a
you mean
laugh
how
track.
you've been, like how you've been bombarding me with reels past 3 weeks?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, that is real though.
Nah. Because all I do on my breaks is scroll Instagram reels. I scroll Twitter up at the cashier station.
Oh, I thought you meant real, but he was just messaging you real, just the word real.
No, like Instagram reels. I'll just find the most wild, random things. A lot of Kanye on the timeline recently.
I'll be
Kanye.
honest, I don't actually watch nearly half of them, if any.
Oh, I'm aware. I send you way too many for you to watch every single one.
It's the ritual of sending it. It's
Yeah,
sharing
no, it's
the
more of-
funny thing with your friend.
It's more of the action rather than the haha, did you see this?
Mhm.
It's like your pet cat leaving a dead rat at your doorstep.
Oh,
It is just that it. That is like
Oh god. That is just too perfect. Alright, let's wrap this up. Please bow your heads and join me in prayer in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thy is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Heavenly Father, we pray for all those who have died in the service of their countries. May they be granted rest and peace in the grave. And may their loved ones be granted closure, peace, and the joyous memories they have of their loved ones who died. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Thank you for joining us on Monarchist Minute this week. Sorry it got a little wilder than we intended, but it ended up being a fun time. If you're listening to this on YouTube, like, comment, and subscribe. And share it too. Help your friends see it. Help support the cause that way. If you're listening to this on any one of our we also use to broadcast this, be it Spotify, iTunes, whatever. Make sure to hit whatever that button is and whatever they call it that gives you the notification. Constantine, I see you're sending me more reels as we speak.
Sorry.
he has funny things he wants to share with you.
Exactly. But anyway, moving on. If you're on social media, find us and follow us. If you want to help out the cause, send us an email, shoot us a message on social media, join us on Discord. Just get in contact with us and we'll see what you can do. Until next time, may God bless you and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you and good night.